What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I'm Ryan, I'm here with my buddy Jackson, and today we are doing our second episode of our segment Monthly Morning Media. This month we're covering January of 2022, so we'll be going over our picks. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to Jackson. Let's hear what he had.
Thanks, Ryan. Yes, it is me, Jackson. I hope everybody is having a marvelous media morning for this monthly morning media. I got my cup of tea here, so everybody cheers. But yeah, let's get into my picks for the month of January 2022. I guess I will start with my new releases, and I guess we'll start with the YouTube video first. So, this YouTube video is called The Beach Boys' Music Was Way More Intricate Than You Remember, Jazz Pianist Reacts. I always go with the long titles for some reason. This is by Charles Cornell, who is a jazz pianist, and he reacted to some Beach Boys music. And as a true appreciator of the Beach Boys, I really enjoyed this video. For those of you who think that the Beach Boys just made surf rock music and weren't really revolutionary and didn't inspire Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, then you should watch this video. I think it's a really good way to get some people into the Beach Boys. So there's not really much more I have to say about it. It's just him kind of like being in awe of like how better the Beach Boys were than he used to think, I guess. And my other new release is probably the biggest album that came out in January. I'm not sure of that, but it's Dawn FM by The Weeknd. This pick for me really isn't because of the music and the songs on the album. It's more of this picture that The Weeknd paints when he recorded this album and this aesthetic that he gives off of a 1-hour radio show of, you know, this old school style, not old school, but like 80s style synth pop. It's good stuff, okay? It's a good album. Having not listened to it that many times, some of the songs kind of do sound the same, and by some of the songs, I mean most of the songs. So I don't know. In my mind, it's not the best album ever, but for sure, with the way that it's painted, with the way the picture, the scene is set, I think this is a really good album, just in your mind's eye, I guess. In the picture in your mind, it's pretty good. So now, taking a break from the music-related things, I'm going to move on to a movie. And I think this is the only movie I watched in January. But it's a movie from 2018. You may or may not have seen it. It is called Searching. And I saw this movie twice in theaters when it first came out. One with my girlfriend at the time, and one with Ryan. And Ryan and I actually made a video about this back in 2018, so if you want to see what our YouTube game was like back then check it out. There's a link in the top right corner. And when I told Ryan that I was picking this movie for this month, he said, like, he remembered that the movie did really resonate with me. And it really does. I think it's a pretty revolutionary movie when you look at it. It all takes place through a computer screen. I think this is one of my favorite movies of all time. There's obviously like classics that you can't go wrong with. But this for sure, I enjoyed it so much. It literally left me so speechless after watching it the first time. And then the second time being able to kind of introduce Ryan to it, even though like he obviously knew about it, but like being able to see his first watch with him, that was fun because he's a big movie guy and I'm not as much. So being able to see it before him was kind of fun. With that, let's just not waste any more time, move on to some more music. Let's do the song next. So the song that I've picked for this month is a mashup, and it's an official mashup from the Beatles. I promise there's not going to be Beatles content every month on this. I know last month Ryan picked Sgt. Pepper's and I picked a Paul McCartney book, but this is going to be hopefully the last one for at least a couple more months. It is Within You Without You / Tomorrow Never Knows, and it's off the Love compilation. Now, back before I lived in the Southwest, we visited my grandparents that live in the Southwest, and after that we spent a day in Vegas, and I got to see the Cirque du Soleil show, The Beatles' Love, which this mashup is from. And when I heard this one, I just thought it was so incredible. I don't think I had heard either Within You, Without You, or Tomorrow Never Knows before this. And so I kind of thought it was just one song at first, like listening to it at the show. And this might be a hot take, but I think this should be the only way people listen to these two songs. That's kind of a lie because I really love Within You, Without You. But just mixed with the beat of Tomorrow Never Knows, you really have to listen to this song if you're at all a Beatles fan, okay? This is just an incredible song that I really like. Every time I go back to this album, I listen to that and one other song off this album, which, in case you're wondering, it is Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite / I Want You, She's So Heavy / Helter Skelter. That one's really good too, but I picked Within You, Without You, Tomorrow Never Knows because I think that is just, it's such an incredible song. It's probably the best Beatles song that isn't like an actual Beatles song, if that makes sense. It's a mashup from an official Beatles release, so I think it's the best of that category, I guess. And then my last pick, it's an album. It came out, when did it come out? I gotta do a lookup. It came out in October of 2021 by Coldplay. It is the album Music of the Spheres. I think this is one of, if not one, sorry about my light, if not one of the best albums in recent times that I've ever heard. It's definitely one of my favorite albums in recent times that I've ever heard, meaning coming out in recent times. There are some big hits from this album. There's obviously the one with BTS, which for some reason the name is slipping my mind. But then there's also my favorite song from this album, Higher Power. I think it's such a jam, and I like it so much. So, yeah, that's my fifth pick. This is one of the albums that I just can't stop going back to have another listen. It's just a really good album. I would recommend it if you're into like more modern music. I know I talk about old music all the time, but if you're in something a little more modern, you should give it a shot if you haven't already, but you've probably heard some of the songs off of it. So yeah, I think those are my picks. I'm going to shoot it back over to Ryan with his picks.
Thank you so much for sharing your picks, Jackson. Now I'm going to go over my picks, my 5 favorite forms of media I saw in the month of January. So let's get right to it. So first off, I'm going to go over my favorite new release of the month. Of course, it's a movie. It's the only new release I'm going to be covering so far in this episode. But my favorite new release movie I saw was The Tragedy of Macbeth. I'm a huge Denzel Washington fan, so I've been wanting to watch this for a really long time. I cheated a little bit because it technically came out on Christmas, so it's 6 days shy of actually being in January. But I saw it in January. It was closer to mid-January when I saw it. Me and my girlfriend went up to stay with her grandparents in Florida. We were vacationing there, and it wasn't playing anywhere around where I live in New Hampshire, but it was in Florida. So when we were there, I was like, oh my gosh, we gotta go see it. So we saw it, and it was just absolutely phenomenal. It is interesting. They talk in all the old English and stuff, straight from the script or the play of Shakespeare. So it's pretty nuts. Sometimes it can be kind of hard to follow, but if you had to read it in high school and you remember the gist of it, you'll be fine. But the film itself is just gorgeous. Every shot feels like a painting. The cinematography is just out of this world. It definitely feels like an A24 film, so that's pretty cool. Denzel's phenomenal as usual. There's a reason he's my favorite actor of all time, and if anybody was wondering if he was a good actor, they should probably check this out, or Malcolm X, or American Gangster, or Training Day, or Man on Fire, or literally anything. Sorry, Denzel ran over. I literally own every single movie of his. But yeah, that was my absolute favorite movie of January that I saw. Taking a break from movies, I'm going to be sharing my favorite album that I listened to. I actually have it here. It is Pretty Hate Machine by 9 Inch Nails. This was their first album. Trent Reznor did this basically entirely by himself after work in a studio, just slaving over it night by night, barely got any sleep. And for my money, this is one of the best rock 90s kind of grunge albums of all time. It's so good. Absolutely love 9 Inch Nails. My brother David got me into them, so that's pretty cool. But they have so many of their my favorite songs are on this album, Head Like a Hole, Terrible Lie, Sanctified, Something I Can Never Have. I mean, just banger after banger after banger. So, and I've recently kind of been collecting vinyl, so I might be showing some of those off in like another video. Well, we will see. But for now, this is one of my favorites. I've listened to it a couple times on vinyl, and it's really something. The record itself isn't all that fancy, just regular black vinyl. But yeah, no, seriously, this is one of my favorite albums of all time. Going on with music, my favorite song that I listened to was Dragula by Rob Zombie. Yeah, I know how that sounds. It's actually a really good song. Rob Zombie himself is kind of a scary dude, but also fascinating nonetheless. I caught a Joe Rogan podcast with him a couple months back, and he seemed like a really interesting guy, and they were just talking movies and music, and obviously, you know, Rob Zombie's directed movies and he makes music, so he's a really talented guy, and listening to him, it gave me like a pretty cool perspective on film and stuff, and I was a huge film enthusiast. I just had to hear the rest of the podcast, so I did, and then I was like, okay, I'll give Rob Zombie movies a shot, and I did, and now I'm kind of giving his music a shot, and I've only listened to this this song off the album, and I've listened to there's a couple other songs of his I've listened to, basically his most popular stuff on Spotify. I don't really know him off heart, or offhand rather, but this song is just really good. The drums in it, ridiculous. I like his voice, his vocals are pretty cool, obviously distorted a bit, but it works for me. I really like it, so I definitely recommend Dragula. And it was also in The Matrix, the first Matrix. It was in the club scene. Pretty cool stuff. For my fourth pick, I'm going back to movies. My next two picks, spoiler alert, are movies. For this pick, I'm going to be talking about my favorite film that I'd already seen before, so it wasn't my first time watching it, for the month of January. So my favorite film that I watched this month, that's just one of my favorite films of all time and has been for the longest time. I know it's pretty cliched, but The Dark Knight, it's just nothing short of a masterpiece. It's got Batman. It kind of feels like a Scorsese movie. It's like a crime movie. The scope of it, the cinematography is nuts. Obviously, the acting, Heath Ledger, Christian Bale, just absolutely incredible. But I watched this movie while I was in Florida with Haley and her grandparents, and just reminded me why I love the movie so much. Absolutely incredible film. They just got everything right, and the new Robert Pattinson, the Batman movie coming out, directed by Matt Reeves, has me really, really pumped. So I'm thinking about watching a couple more Matt Reeves movies, but more importantly, got me in a Batman kind of mood, as if I'm not always in a Batman kind of mood. But anyway, absolutely phenomenal film, one of my all-time favorites. I think it's in my top 4. Yeah, top 4 of all time. Great movie. The last film I'm going to be talking about is my favorite film that I watched for the first time in January. So this didn't come out in January or anything, but this is just my favorite film that I watched for the first time. And without a doubt, I watched some pretty good films this month, but without a doubt, Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. Just phenomenal movie. It's a really good movie. It's based off of a book, actually. It's about this kid who befriends a girl with cancer, and they form this really special friendship over the course of, I think, a year or two before, spoiler alert, she dies. But that's in the movie, and it's kind of implied. It's about a girl with cancer, and it's terminal. That's in the description, okay? It's not a spoiler. But the relationship that they form and the friendship that they grow is just, it's so beautiful. It's really sweet. Not gonna lie, it makes me cry. I'm realizing a lot of movies make me cry. But seriously, if you want a movie that's a perfect balance of humor, that'll also just wipe you out emotionally, just devastating, check out Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. And Thomas Mann, one of my favorite actors right now. I swear, this guy needs to be in more stuff. He's amazing. So that's gonna do it, guys. Thank you so much again for watching this video. Me and Jackson are both really happy to be doing this again. It's really good to be back on YouTube. If you want to follow our Instagram or other social medias, the links will be down in the description below. Make sure you check those out. Make sure to give this video a like. And yeah, we'll see you guys later this month. Peace.